Hello, people. I'm back. It's only like 8 o'clock in the morning, exactly, actually. So I'm still kind of asleep, but this is the time I have to record. So let's see how this goes. So today I'm talking about different character types that books should have, and I don't know if like specifically a lot of them lack, but really I just went through my book and picked out like all the really important characters that I seem to like just automatically like give bigger parts because they seem more important. And I just divided them up into different character types that I'm gonna list right now. So the first type is I should have named them. I just put the name of the actual character beside the name. But the first character is an upbeat and happy character, yet with many secrets. Like, this character is like has a serious past, but isn't defined by it. And well, maybe like I've word that like they're not defined by it in the way that most people would be, but because instead of being like really dark and glum and sad all the time, they try to like hide it and not let anybody like know really what their past is about, and they don't talk about their past, and they just are like very happy, cheerful people. And often, well, at least this specific character that I have in my story, he's very oblivious, but like he's not a character that you're not inside of his head. And my book is going to be a series, hopefully. But in the first book, you're not inside of his head for most of it. It's only like one chapter. So you don't really get to see that when he's acting oblivious, he doesn't really not understand what's going on. He just doesn't feel like comprehending what's going on, if that makes any sense. I don't know if it does. The next type of character is like a quiet kind of like mouse in the corner. I'm pretty sure that's how you say that. I'm bad with like phrases. Very like just picks up all the information, just like listens, stays in the background a little bit, yet he is a main character in my story. The character that takes on this character type. He's very like a very discerning character and really knowledgeable. In my story, he's just a genius kind of. And doesn't speak up a lot, but when there's something important that needs to be said, this character will be willing to say that. The third character type is one that's a little more fun to write about because it's a lot simpler, but it's still fun. Because this is the sarcastic and quippy type, the one who's like always interrupting, and that's kind of me. But not afraid of anyone, and I wrote not afraid of anyone but herself, because in my book, this character doesn't seem to have any fears, but she is very much afraid of her own past and the people that defined her past, and like when they start to come back up and like come out of the woodwork or whatever. I don't know why I'm using like phrases or whatever the word is. Cliches? No, I don't think that's cliche. Anyway, when they start to like pop up in her later life, she starts to break down a little bit because she's very afraid of these things. What's that? Number 4 is a villain. So I didn't really write many defining features of a villain because villains come in many different types. My book actually has several villains, and I feel like that it could go either way. That could either be really confusing and annoying, or it could be like a good plot device. But some villains are like really quiet and kind of in the background, just pulling strings, really. While others, they're just like those bold villains that you know are bad immediately. Like, you read the book and you see like is talking about evil glares and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, that's definitely a villain. So there's definitely characters like that, but I feel like it's important to have more than one villain, because as I said, like, there's the one that's pulling the strings that nobody sees, but you know that someone's got to be there. If you know literature, then you know that there's somebody on the inside pulling strings. But there's also like a type of villain that's probably being duped into what they're doing. Like, in my case, I have a character and she's a teenager, but she has been manipulated into believing that she is this evil, horrible person, and that she enjoys making other people feel bad. I just lost my train of thought. So another one is just minor characters. Minor characters are way more important than some people realize. Like, sometimes you'll be reading a book and there will be some really dynamic 3D characters that just bounce off the page to you. You know, like, exactly what they're thinking. You can tell what they're gonna say before they say it. And like, there's just a ton of detail put into these people. And then you look at like other characters in the book and you're like, where are their personalities? They're all the same. Like, I don't have any specific examples right now, but like a lot of books do that, where they just take a stereotype and they throw each stereotype into a different minor character. And it can somewhat work. And like, I'm not saying like with this list I'm kind of listing stereotypes in a way, but like, I'm not saying that you need to stick exactly by this. Each stereotype should have, like, everyone is different, so each personality has to have a certain twist to make it not stereotypical. But the minor characters really need a backstory. That's one of my favorite things to do recently, is to create backstories to my minor characters that most people just ignore and be like, wait, that's a character? So yeah, that's really important. And the last character, well, actually I have two more listed, but I don't think I'm going to do the other one because I didn't write a lot on that. But the last character that I have listed he's actually a new addition to my story. So I'm kind of obsessed with him. So I wrote an entire backstory on this person, and after writing it, I realized that I loved him so much that I didn't let him make any mistakes. So he's kind of like my perfect character right now, but he just has a really unfortunate past. So, and like, also present, like, he's still having things going on in his life that aren't really his fault, but are affecting his life in many ways. But this character I may have made a little too perfect, and that you have to be really careful of, because it's very easy to just fall in love with a character and be like, no, they can't make any mistakes. But that's what builds a character, and somebody's going to read that and nobody else is going to fall in love with them, because you know their secrets, you know the way that they would mess up, but nobody else does. So they're not going to like a character who seems fake. And the last point I have is just like, make each character different. Two characters of the same type, it's not going to work. They're going to clash. And I'll probably do like an entire episode on characters that complement each other, because that is one of my favorite things ever. And honestly, I do that with people in real life too. Like, I just look around and I see my friends, and I see the people my friends are friends with, and it's the people that I'm friends with, and I look at their personalities and I connect them, see which ones mesh the best. And yeah, it's really fun. But I'm gonna go into a rant about that, so I'm gonna end before I do that.